We are the creators of reality. Those who have mastered perseverance, those who thrive despite attempts to thwart us, those who make magic at the root of the very trees they hung us from. We are the mountains and the rivers. We are the sun and the moon. We are sand and gems. We are the first and the final. We be big and small. We be light and dark. We be seasoned and youthful. We be sensual and sacred. Those gifted and divine. Those powerful and radical. Those vibrant and ancestral. We are the creators of reality. We are the Black Oasis. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Black Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Kaya Supreme, and this is the place where we lay it all down. Today's guest is a really, really, really special treat. I've known this woman, I believe, since we were 5 years old.
Yep.
I feel like overwhelmed. She is. She was a rambunctious child. She was so full of life, so full of energy, but everyone's friend. I mean, just happy and so full of fun and kind and sweet. Her character, I mean, even as a little person, she was just a genuine, just a genuinely good person from day one. And recently I had noticed on social media that she started getting into a little bit of an area that I love in the public speaking arena. So I had to reach out, and I'm so glad to have her on today. So you guys are going to see us just catch up a little bit. This is the first time that we're talking like face to face since we were little people. And so forgive me if I cry. I'm already, my eyes are like watery.
Wait, please don't, because that's gonna make me cry.
I cry freely all the time. It's okay, but I'm just really grateful that you're here and so excited because even before I knew about you, well, hold on, let me just say this. Ladies, gentlemen, and non-gender conforming friends, the phenomenal, the divine, the beautiful, the brilliant Adrienne Thomas.
Thank you.
I almost jumped the gun and just got into it. But you need to be celebrated because I have seen even before this everything from your hair journey to your hair journey to
We can get into
just
that too.
some of your physical fitness challenges and so you were like constantly inspiring online and it's a beautiful thing. I'm like, look at Adrienne, go ahead girl, like do your thing.
And it's
So
crazy because I never really set out to be inspiring, I guess. And I would just, I don't have like a really big social media following or a big platform or anything, but I would just, post things that were important to me and things that I felt were cool, I guess. And, it's crazy how you never know who is going to be impacted by what you do. We can kind of get into like the public speaking thing. I think this is a good segue. When I started posting about public speaking and my desire to get better at it, a lot of people hit me up and were like super supportive and were telling me about their own journeys and how now they want to get better. And I'll give you a little bit of background. With public speaking, I was terrified. Like, I had this complete paralyzing fear of public speaking up until like 3 months ago. So, like, my entire life, when we were at St. Michael's, when I was in high school, college, all of that, if I had to do a presentation for school, I would try everything I could to get out of it. I'm like, can I just write a report and turn it in? Can I just meet with the professor one-on-one? But the idea of being in front of people just terrified me. But it's crazy because if I was in an informal setting talking to people, I was okay. But the minute they sit down and look at me, I'm just like, please stop. Like, the idea of all eyes being on me was very intimidating and very unnerving. So recently, and I mean like very recently, as in like the end of last year, I was doing a lot of presentations for work. And one day I was doing a presentation for the director, and it was virtual, so it was a little bit easier with that as well. But as I'm doing this presentation, I had this very strange thought, and I realized I wasn't nervous. And like I said, that was strange for me because most of the time I would be like dry mouth,
Hmm.
sweaty palms, the stomach in knots, just all of that. And so I had this realization. So after the presentation, I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, I'm getting more comfortable with public speaking. And then it was like something went off in my brain where I had this other strange thought that maybe I could actually get better at this and enjoy the process. Instead of dreading it, I can potentially enjoy it. So I randomly was talking to this woman at the gym and we were talking about public speaking. And I asked her if she was nervous for stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, and that's why I joined Toastmasters. And I was like, what is that? So she told me about it. And I was like, this exists. This organization exists. And then I started doing my research and I joined a local club. And it's crazy because my first speech, my icebreaker speech, was supposed to be 2 nights ago, right? I did all this prep. I was like ready for it. I was excited about it. I was looking forward to standing up in front of people.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got to this place, but I was looking forward to it. I pull up in the parking lot like 15 minutes early. I'm talking to my dad about it, real excited. And I get this email and they say that they had to do an emergency cancellation of the meeting because they messed up with reserving the room that we use. And I was just like, you're kidding me. You know, in the past, I would have been like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't have to do it right now. But I was like really disappointed, you
Yeah.
know. And so
Yeah.
now, in 2 more weeks, I'll be able to, do my speech and maybe refine it a little bit. But this is a completely new realm for me, and it's one that I'm very much looking forward to getting better at. Because I think there's a lot of power in being able to speak in front of people. It does wonders for your confidence. Like
Yep.
knowing that you can get up and talk, and if someone interrupts you, you can like deviate, address their question, and then come back. Because that was another thing that I could not do. If I had to do, let's say, a PowerPoint for class, my thing was, let me get up here, let me go through my slides, don't nobody interrupt me. And when I'm finished, I'm going to sit down. Nobody ask me any questions, right? Because
No
I
question.
no questions. I didn't want anyone to say anything. I just wanted them to like clap a little bit at the end, and then I just sit down because I, when I think back about it, I think really what was the issue was I, and I hear this term being, pushed around a lot nowadays of imposter syndrome. And I
Hmm.
think that I actually had that because I was nervous that somebody was going to ask me a question that I couldn't answer. And then it would show that I don't know what I'm talking about. You know? And so to me, I was like, let me just get through these slides, let me say these words and sit down and take a deep breath. But now I'm learning to be able to talk through or to think through what I'm saying. And if I need to pause with what I'm presenting, I can, address this person, address their question, and then come back to it. And I'm not like fluttered about the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and well, for people watching, I reached out because I as well had participated in Toastmasters. My dad had been a longtime member at a club in Silver Spring for like double digits. So when I saw Adrian asking about it, I was like, yes, do it, because in my early 20s, that was the thing that inspired me to like be like, okay, yeah, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to talk to people, and I had the exact same issue. I would compete. My voice would tremble. I would, forget, forget. Well, number one, after a certain point in time, you had to be comfortable with just going. But I would
Hmm.
just really married to these index cards, and
Yes.
that's so it was just not good. But I mean, I still did well. Um, but you definitely get more confident over time. And another thing that helps is singing in public. When I joined a choir, when I joined a choir, and like when I tell you, like one of my first solos, my voice disappeared, like for real, like
But
for
can you
50.
sing?
I'm okay. I think I'm pretty decent. I'm
I
decent.
can't, I am completely tone deaf. And I can't wait for my mom to see this because she tells me all the time when it's just the two of us, if we're going somewhere, we like to blast Patti LaBelle, one of her
Hmm.
albums, Flame, like back in the
Hmm.
day. And, I try to hit those notes that Patty hits, and my mom always looks at me and she's like, Adri, just stick to your day job. And I'm like, did it sound that bad? And she's like, you're tone deaf. So that's one thing I could never do is sing in public.
But the thing about it is, even if you can, even if you hit number one, I'll say this: every singer from the top down has hit a note that may or may not have been what they planned. It's truly about the confidence. It's truly about even if you mess up, even if you make a mistake, even if you don't know the answer to a question, you're still divine. You're still phenomenal. You're like you. We don't have to have control. We don't have to. We don't have to be perfect because there's no such thing. So Toastmasters really does show you that because you will your ums and ahs, your ticks. You're
Yes.
gonna you have them, and you're supposed to. That's the process to learn them, and then to be able to maneuver and master, your delivery. So it's
Hmm.
the process that you mentioned. You were like, oh, you got this inspiration. Like maybe I could actually do this and fall in love with the process, and like that's really what it's about.
Right. Because one thing that I'm looking forward to is the person I'm going to be on the other side of these speeches. Like, I see these speeches as kind of like little mini walls or so that I have to be able to somehow find my way over. And I'm like, who am I going to be on the other side of this wall, of the other side of this fear that I have, that I've had for 30 some years? And that's what I'm really looking forward to, because
Yeah.
I can feel myself growing, I can feel myself maturing and changing. And so I'm like, I'm loving this process. And it's
Hmm.
not that I want to rush the process and hurry up and get to the end, but I am still excited to see who I'll be on the other side of each of these kind of stepping stones.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, you've always been very fierce and goal oriented. There was a challenge, like, I mean, you have that type of personality that's gonna like get to it. Who you'll be is just you'll just become more aware of who you are. You know, um,
Right.
you're already just super super dope. So you just get to share that with people, and they get to accept it, and you just get to like not care about how you look or how it was delivered. You just do the best that you can, and that's like always enough. So I'm like really really excited for you and proud of you. I really want to know like how your icebreaker speech goes, and
And it's,
how it turns out.
and it's crazy because as soon as I posted that on, well, I was posting some, about my Toastmasters journey on Instagram. And then you hit me up asking me to be on this podcast. And then I had my icebreaker speech that was supposed to happen 2 days ago. It didn't, but it's going to happen. And then at work, this woman is putting together this event that we have quarterly. And she reached out to me to participate in the event. Now, for this meeting or this event, I've never participated before. I've attended it, but I've never participated. And so they want to do a new series called A Day in the Life of, and then each time they'll have a different staff member talk about their job and what makes their job unique and all like that. And she asked if I would be the first to participate in this series. Now, in the past, if I got this email, I would have been like, "Are you
Yeah.
insane? You must be insane if you think that I'm going to voluntarily get in front of people and speak." Um, but I was like, yes, I absolutely want to because I put this out into the universe that I want to get better at public speaking. So the universe has heard me and it's providing opportunities. And it's like I can't back out now because they're coming. I
Yeah.
never specified I wanted to come in incremental times. Like I just
Yeah.
said I want this. So it's like,
Yep.
okay, here you go.
You go.
So it's you, it's the icebreaker speech, this event at work, and that event is tomorrow. And I'm not nervous, surprisingly.
I'm happy. Good. You
Surprisingly.
did
I don't
it.
know how I'll be tomorrow morning, but right now I feel fine about it. And then I have another friend who reached out to me maybe 2 days or 3 days after you did, and said that he wants to put together a podcast and asked if I would be on an episode. And
Look at this.
I was
Look
like,
at
I
this.
would love to.
But you were vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? Like going on social media is no small feat, no matter what size of the following it is. It's like you give yourself to the public and then they can critique however they want or receive it. But, you know, like you said, the universe is making way for you. You say that you wanted this thing. Look at how you've manifested all these opportunities with just setting an intention. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most people, and that's another thing that I think is like so profound about you is most people avoid their triggers for their entire lives. Like literally can construct a life of comfort that makes it so safe and secure that they never step outside of that area of safety or supposed seem, false safety, honestly. But you
Mm-hmm.
were like, I'm triggered, you know, we know fear is a lie. Like one acronym I think of is false evidence appearing real. It's extremely deceptive. It feels really, really real, but it's actually extremely false and fabricated. But you literally were like, for 30 some odd years, I've been scared to do this thing. So now I'm going to do this thing. And I'm aware of these opportunities coming. I'm gonna do those too. Like that's not small. That's masterful
And I
to
think
have that.
sometimes I don't always appreciate that and some of the things that I do, because to me it's, I have a weakness and I want to improve on it. Now, I will say, like I said before, I avoided this for 30 some years. So it's not like I'm just, this fearless person and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like I avoided this for a long, long time. And, I just realized that it's going to hinder me not only with, professional life, because I didn't necessarily do it just for professional life. I did it, or I'm doing it for personal growth, because one thing my dad has always taught me, and he's given me these life lessons that I call wise words, since I was a kid,
I
and I
saw
write a
those.
lot of them down.
You share them sometimes.
Yes. And so one of his wise words is learning never stops. You could be at the top of your game, you could be at the top of your career field. Learning never stops. And so sometimes if I find myself in kind of a stagnant place, I guess, I'll have a conversation with him and, talk to him about things. And then I'll look for ways to get out of that kind of mindset. And so with this, I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to challenge myself in the most extreme way, because I don't know if you're understanding how bad this was. Like,
I'm
I can't believe I'm saying this, but you would like get that nervous sweat before you have to do a presentation and you could like see it. That would be me. And I'm like, so then you're so conscious about that. And then your body language is just like, you know, and I wanted to be able to harness that energy, because the energy is not there for no reason. Now you can interpret that as negative or positive, and I've always interpreted it as negative, but I can harness this energy and put it toward a positive, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm not, I don't have those butterflies in my stomach before I do a speech. Like I want to have that, but I want it to be for, anticipatory reasons or excitement, not dread. So
yeah.
it's just repackaging that same ball of nerves
Hmm.
and pushing it in a different way. So that's kind of the journey that I'm on right now.
So let's talk about another risk you took, which was the big chop, right? I've known, like when we were kids, you had hair galore, galore. I specifically
Mhm.
remember like these two ponytails at all
My
times.
two little pigtails.
Yeah, at all times,
Yep.
and then you popped up with a twirl, like a very short cut. That's whenever I see black women do that, I'd be like, oh yeah, she's tapping in somewhere. So what inspired that, and what was that process like?
The big chop. So this was in 2015, July of 2015. And my hair was very heat damaged. And I was starting to notice it. And it was almost like for a while, I wasn't seeing how bad it was, because in my mind, I never had a perm, never had a relaxer in my life. So I'm thinking, okay, well, since I haven't had that, my hair is fine. It wasn't. I would straighten my hair. I wouldn't use heat protectants. I would just do it all the wrong way. So I finally had a kind of come to Jesus moment. And I was like, my hair is not healthy. And I kind of wanted a new look. Like, I didn't go through any kind of traumatic experience. I didn't go through a breakup, nothing like that. I was just like, I wanted a different look and I wanted to get my hair back healthy. So I decided to cut it and I did not like it. When I
You
first cut it, I did not like it because I didn't realize how damaged it was. Like, the cutting it highlighted the damage because, like you said, I had like a little mini afro, and my curls were very dead. It was like wavy, dead looking hair, and so the afro wasn't. It
growing.
wasn't afroing, So I didn't like it, and I felt very uncomfortable, and I put on this front of like, yeah, look at me, I cut my hair, and I'm still confident, I'm still all this stuff, but inside I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, what did I do? Why did I cut my hair? So that was July of 2015. For the next year, I kind of experimented with different styles. I had a mohawk. Oh my God. I had a mohawk at one point. I try to delete any evidence of that. Like, I cannot believe that I did that. I will
What
never
you're
do it
saying,
again.
I mean, it all worked. I didn't see anything that didn't look. I was like, okay, like you're a beautiful woman. I didn't see anything that looked anything like nothing bad.
Well, thank you. But so I was experimenting with different styles. And then the following July 2016, I was very new to the barbershop scene because before I had been going to a hair salon and just getting scissor cuts. But then, I wanted to get more into like the closed sides and like that. So I went to a barbershop and showed him a picture of what I wanted. And what I asked for was not what I got. I looked in the mirror and I was like, what is this? So it was close on the sides, close in the back, and then some curls, but it was supposed to be like a transition from the curls to the shaved sides. And
Mhm.
it wasn't. It was like a stark contrast. So I hated it. So from July of 16 until November of 16, I just was letting it grow because I didn't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
Then I was on Instagram. I was scrolling through the Cut Life. Do you follow that page?
Yes, I do.
So scrolling through that, and then I see this woman. Her name is Mrs. Tahira, and she's in Atlanta. Actually, she's a stylist, hairstylist, and she had a bald cut. And I stopped on her picture, and I was like, "I'm gonna cut my hair off. I'm just gonna shave it bald, right?"
Mm-hmm.
So I told my mom because my mom has had short hair like most of my life, and a lot of women in my family have short hair. So I told my mom and maybe one other person, but I didn't announce it. I didn't, anything like that because I knew that people were going to question, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you cutting your hair off? And I think at that time, bald cuts weren't quite as common in this area. And I'm not saying that I was the first, obviously I wasn't, but I didn't see a lot of women back then, like around kind of the DMV with a bald cut. So I had a different barber start there. And I went in and just told him, just take it all down. Like, take it all down. And he was like, I don't think he had many female clients either. So he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Just, just cut it. And he was like, all right. So he did. And I remember vividly the first time I touched my scalp. Like, it was one of the strangest feelings. And as I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. And then I had it short for 5 years, and I went through different lengths. I guess like at one point I had a skin fade. I had a part right here went down, and then all of this was like skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I absolutely loved it. And it did wonders for my confidence. Absolute wonders. And I kept it very soft, very like I didn't have a harsh shape up or anything. And it was great. But it's crazy because I started growing it out last year, this time last year. And now it's like shoulder length. The front is a little bit longer. But now that I have hair and like, I've been rocking braids and stuff recently, it's hard for me to remember who I was with no hair,
Wow.
And just like it's hard for me to remember who I was before that when I had hair.
Yeah.
These different phases, of growth that we go through. I think I needed to go through that phase, but I wasn't necessarily meant to be in it forever. Because when I was in it, I was like, I'm never growing my hair out again. Like all the women who have long hair, good luck. I'm gonna go to the barbershop every 2 weeks and be straight. But now I'm like, I can't imagine what it would be like to be bald again.
I mean, I go back and forth. People like I could literally be bald tomorrow and be fine. But people, really, my thing is like the time. I don't want to spend a lot of time on my hair at all. So, like I've been doing the braids, and then maybe a month ago I was like, I don't want to sit down, and I don't want to sit down for two
It's a
full.
process.
But then also those shortcut. I had like a shortcut for a really long time, but my hair grows so fast that I would be at the barbershop every 2 weeks. And I was just like, this is what I wanted to avoid. So the truth of the matter is you're beautiful. We're beautiful no matter what our hair looks like. It is truly about do we believe it and taking the risk to see if we believe it by cutting our hair. And so, more like kudos to you, because you're a confident person and you have the evidence to support, you a bad, bad one.
Well, thank you. But like every time I've done something kind of drastic, it was never like a lead up to it. It was
Yeah.
just like, I want to do this and I feel pretty good about it, so I'm just going to do it and then live with the consequences. Like I've always been big on taking accountability for any consequences of my decisions. So I knew going into it, there's a high probability that I'll hate it and that I can do nothing about it. But, it was something that I was willing to live with. And so I just did it. And luckily, for the most part, there were some styles that were, like I said, a little questionable, but luckily, they turned out pretty well.
And make sure you tell your parents I said hi. And I know my dad asked about your dad not too long ago, actually. So
Is Uncle Rhino still in the area?
he is. He is still. He's in DC.
I feel like
And
I think we're friends on Facebook. He looks the exact same.
he's, he's on Facebook once in a blue moon these days. You know how our elders are. But either way, I'm going to make sure that I tell him. Like, and make sure you tell Marcus I said hi too, because I
Yes, and Blair too. Is Blair
yeah,
here or she?
Blair's in Atlanta. I
Damn.
know. Blair's been here like 7 years at this
How
point.
old is she?
She's 3 years younger than us, so she's 30.
She is not 30. Why did
Blair's
I think
30.
there was like a 10-year gap between us? Blair is
Blair's
30. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. She's doing well. She's on social media doing her curation, and she's like really aesthetically gifted. So I'll send you her Instagram page because you got to see. It's like she. If you need somewhere, I know you're gonna come. Like if you need somewhere to go dine and eat or get your spa on, you need home goods or like she is the aesthetic queen. Like she has all in their black owned places, and it's just like, girl, how do you find this stuff? But
Right.
that's her niche. And then recently, I started a powerlifting journey, right? So I go to the gym. Like I'm hoping to compete eventually.
Congratulations.
I saw, a few women who were, and I was just like, the only reason why I've always been really strong. The only reason why I have never like lifted weights is because I just didn't want to look manly and burly. And I was like, I don't give a damn about that anymore. Like, I want to be a beast. So I started powerlifting. But you can correct me if I'm wrong, we're into CrossFit or like I saw your workout journey and you were going really hard. And I it's like you've always been athletic, so just
Right.
curious what that's been.
So I was actually, well, when we were at St. Michael's, I'll take it way, way back. I started off playing basketball, and then I transitioned to track. And then I ran track and cross country throughout high school and then throughout college. And so I was always really into running, and I was a distance runner. I loved running. And then when I came back from Hampton and I came home, I realized that I didn't have a gym to go to because I always had one like available to me. So I joined a gym and, started sometimes posting workouts. And then I got into personal training that was very random, I will say. Like I never intended to get into personal training, but one of the trainers at the gym that I was going to saw me working out and he basically offered me a job because they needed female trainers. And I was like, well, I have an athletic background, but I'm not, a trainer. I'm not certified. And he was like, oh, we can get you certified. So I got certified and I realized at that point, this was in 2013, I think. I realized that my like interpersonal skills were weak, were extremely weak because when you have to meet new people all the time and adjust to different personalities, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to deal with it. And it cost me some clients at the time and, people kind of, I don't want to say complaining about me, but like my mentality was that of an athlete. Like, you're doing this workout, it's going to be hard, but you push through it. And so I
Yeah.
had never been around people who weren't athletes and talking about working out. So I didn't know how to relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they would complain and stuff. And I would literally say, like, what are you complaining for? And I didn't realize how strong it was coming off. But,
Yeah.
they would want a break. And I'm like, well, you can get a break when the set is done. Like you still have work to do. And it wasn't received well. And so, I had to really accept constructive criticism from people, saying that I needed to, I don't want to say adjust my attitude because I didn't have an attitude, but adjust my delivery. And so that took me a while to really, I don't want to say master because I don't think I've mastered anything at this point, but it took me a while to just get better at that. But that's one thing that I'm grateful to, that journey of personal training because it's really helped me with my interpersonal skills. And it shined a spotlight on a weakness that I had, you know,
Mm.
and luckily I was able to get better at it. But, there were times where I'm like, it's their fault. Like, why are they so weak? And like, why, like all these things. And people were like, you can't say that. And I'm like, but it's true. Oh my
Listen,
God.
I've learned truth. What they say, honor is a higher virtue than truth. Truth can get us in trouble, but
Mhm.
you went through that. I mean, you adjusted. So, are you still offering? Are you still working out with people, or have you focused on something else?
Yeah, I've pretty much focused on something else because, like, my educational background is environmental science. So, right now, I work in environmental sustainability and, I focus a lot on that. But I'm still very much in the fitness world. Um, and speaking of powerlifting, what is her name? She just broke her own record, I think, in deadlifts. What's her name?
Tomorrow, I'm tell you,
Is
Walsh
that she pulled like 650 or 651?
something. She's dark skinned with blonde hair.
Yes.
She's my inspiration.
She is crazy.
I'm
And
gonna
it's also crazy because this other chick that she was working out
Laura
with,
Walcott.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
she was working out with this other chick who goes to a gym in is it Upper Marlboro? I think it's Upper Marlboro. So there's this other powerlifting woman who's like incredibly strong and she's in the DMV. Like when
Is
I
her
saw
name
that, I because I found her
Marissa,
on Instagram. Hmm?
Marissa Wilson, aka Red?
Is her name is like Miss Phenomenal or
It's
something on
Phenomenal
Instagram?
Phenomenal Red.
Yes.
That's
she's
another
here.
one.
She's local.
No, those are the two profiles where I was just like, let me just look up the hashtag powerlifting, and I saw them, and I was like, oh, bet, because like they are feminine. You know what I'm saying? Like they are very much women. You
Yes.
know, they're not shaped like your traditional athletes,
Hmm.
and they are powerhouses, both of them. And then I saw that Miss Phenomenal Red, her name is Marissa Wilson, she was located in the DMV. I was like, come on now.
And it's crazy because a lot of people don't know when women like that say, like, if you don't know them, and they were to say like they're an athlete, people don't understand with power lifters, they're not gonna look like uh your track runner or
Yeah.
your, like, you're not, like, if you're pulling that type of weight, you have
Mm-hmm.
to have weight on yourself to be able to support it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that they do a really good job at showing that, like you said, you can still be feminine,
Mm-hmm.
um but you don't have to look exactly like this one way, because like I said, if you do that kind of sport, there's no way for you to be small,
Yeah.
like,
Super,
to
super.
lift that type of weight. I mean, you can lift weight that's heavy for your frame and in your like weight class, but if you're trying to get towards those elite numbers, you can't be small. It's not going to work.
It's not possible. And I mean, for them to be lifting, like I think the highest I said like do a rep of like seven something. Like she broke 700 pounds.
In deadlifts,
No, no, that was hold on, I'm gonna tell you right
did she squat that? Because I know
now.
she deadlifted like 650,
Just
615.
happened. I don't want to play it on my phone because then I feel like it's gonna make the
Yeah.
noise. But um, the reps that they put up at with the weight that they have, I mean, and then I just saw her like do like a, she just did like a shoot for Rihanna with Savage X Fenty too. I was like, ma'am,
And she was
yes.
in some commercial as well. Is it for Ulta?
I don't know, but I know
She's
that
in
she's
some
like
commercial.
magazines, and I mean, either way, for me to see a big black woman with a short cut out here killing it, and she's like super strong at the same time, like she's 639 deadlifts, 600 squats.
Are you talking about, no, she pulled higher than 639.
She just broke 639.
Yeah, she went like 650. But how far along are you in your journey?
It's only been maybe a few months, so I'm still in heavy conditioning,
Hmm.
but um, I like shocked myself the other day, and on the leg press, and was like able to get to like 385, and that was just like
Nice.
the highest that the machine could hold, So, really, my trainer, shout out to Mr. Mike Jones, he has me focusing on just endurance and conditioning, and really trying to regulate my weight to get.
Hmm.
You don't want to lose too much weight, but I need to lose weight absolutely to get, okay, stronger, less fat, more muscle.
Hmm.
So, meal plan, workout regimen, sleep, sleep, sleep,
The
water,
hardest
water.
part of any workout program is the diet. The
Man,
workout, going to the gym. Once you get to the gym, you get in the zone, you have your music, it's fine. The diet, that's why I could never. There was one point in my life, this was probably like 2014, that I was thinking about competing in, figure, bikini, something like that. But when I really started looking into the diet, I was like, I cannot do this. I
no,
can't. Like,
my trainer does, like, he does posing and all, and he, like, there is a, like, even the last couple days, like, it's not always healthy, right? Like,
right.
you have to really be dehydrated, and super, like, maybe even slightly malnourished,
Yeah.
at a certain point, like right before a show, to
Hmm.
get those cuts and those lines that people are. I mean, of course, it's not like, like yo-yoing your diet like that. Like, they have to be like super cautious and
Hmm.
intentional about. But what I will say is, like, there's a mastery over their bodies in a way that, I love. I love that discipline and that ability to be able to just construct what you want on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say for me, one thing that I didn't like about getting into like bodybuilding and being on stage and everything is I think a lot of those athletes get body dysmorphia. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I don't like about it is, you're posing and you're trying to win based on whatever judge's preference, you know, whatever judge happens to be there or set of judges, it's their preference. So it's not like other sports where whoever has the most points wins. It's what does this judge want today? Do you have like the perfect striations and the like perfect symmetry according to them? And then whoever fits that mold the best wins. And so that's why, and I knew for myself, in kind of my mental health, if I were to really get into that journey, it would be more detrimental than positive,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that plus the diet, I was like, let me just keep, doing what I'm doing, working out, eating fairly clean, and I'll be straight.
yeah, yeah. Well, you listen. You set your goals and you achieve them. This is what we. This is. If anyone walks away from this podcast, they are going to see that there is a pattern of goal setting, of risk taking, and the benefit is more confidence and self love, and that's what it's about.
I'll say one other thing, not related to what we talked about, but when you said risk taking, one of the other things that I did 2 years ago, and this is actually what my icebreaker speech is going to be about, is skydiving. So I went skydiving 2 summers ago for my birthday. Now, from when I was a kid, Mark and I used to talk all the time about going skydiving, doing it together for the first time. If we could have a superpower, what would it be? It was always to fly. Like if I could do
Mm-hmm.
anything, I would want to fly. So I went 2 summers ago. My boyfriend surprised me with tickets for my birthday, and I was so excited, so excited. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fly, and then we get there, and I'm like, okay, this is about to happen. I'm about to jump out of a plane willingly. What am I doing here? And we're on the plane, and it's a really tight plane, like really small. It's like two benches on either side, and you're strapped up to a stranger, essentially your instructor, and I was the last person to jump out. So my boyfriend Jason was the first one to jump out. They separated us for some reason. He was the first, I was the last. So as I'm looking over everybody, I'm watching him. He's at the door. The door is open and it's just wind, it's cold, and I'm about to freak out. Like and so I'm watching him and my heart just sinks because I'm like, if anything happens to him, it is my fault. His family is gonna blame me. They were like, "It's your idea." And so he jumped, and I was just like, "I can't do this." Like, so then I'm watching everybody else jump, and one thing I didn't realize is when you jump, you can't make any noise. You can't scream, nothing like that, because there's so much wind in your face. But at the time, I didn't realize that. So as every group of two is jumping and jumping silently, I'm thinking that the person fainted instantly. And I'm like, I'm panicking. So it gets to my turn and my instructor is like pushing us down because we're clipped in together. And as he's pushing us, I'm kind of pushing back because I'm like, the door is open. Like, granted, this is why I'm here, but I'm pushing back and he's like, go forward, go forward. We get to the edge and I'm sitting down in the doorway and my legs are like kind of hooked up under the bottom of the plane and the plane is just like vibrating so hard, right? I look out and it's just this sea of blue and I look down and way down below is the ground and I'm like, I hope I survive this. So I remember I closed my eyes and I leaned back into my instructor, and just like that I couldn't feel the plane beneath me anymore. And I freaked out. But we did this turn and I looked above and I could see the plane like flying over us, which is one of the wildest things I've ever seen in my life. So we kind of like turned back around and I'm going to explain this in my icebreaker speech, but the reason skydiving is such a great lesson in like fear and overcoming fear, and the reason it's so overwhelming is because you experience a huge range of emotions in a short amount of time. So I went from terror, complete terror, to fear, general fear, to this midpoint of acceptance. Once I got
Mm,
to that point of acceptance, like I'm here, I'm doing this, I accept what's going to happen to me. It's like my brain turned a corner and I got to this place of trust. Like I trust this stranger on my back. I trust these clips that are holding me to him, and I trust this parachute. And as
wow.
soon as I got to trust, I got to bliss. And it was the most intense, blissful feeling that I've ever felt in my life. And I was like, I'm flying. Like I'm actually flying. And so it was like 30 seconds of free fall. We were falling at 120 miles an hour. But it doesn't feel like that because there's no like context clues up in the sky. Like if you're driving really fast in a car, you know that you're driving fast because you can hear the car's engine revving up. You can see the odometer or the speed. Um, like there are things around you that let you know how fast you're going. But when you're falling, for a while the ground doesn't look like it's getting any closer. So it feels like you're just suspended in air. So he pulled the parachute and I started crying like happy tears. And he asked me, is everything okay? You okay? And I was like, I'm good. And then he did something that I appreciated, which was he was quiet and he let me
Mm,
take in this experience because seeing the ground and seeing the sky outside of a plane is completely different than seeing it inside the plane. You
hmm.
know, it was eerily quiet up there. It was cold, but I could feel the temperature rising as we were coming down. And it felt like I was there by myself. It didn't even feel like he was with me, but I wasn't scared. Most incredible experience. I recommend anybody to do it. Like the person you are on the other side of skydiving is just like what I was talking about earlier in the podcast. Like I want to see the person I'm going to become on the other side of these speeches, because after that I was like I could do anything except get in
Absolutely.
front of a crowd. But now I'm
But
getting in front of a crowd.
you can. Oh
So,
man, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Like that's on my bucket list. It's one of my dreams to
yes,
skydive. So,
it is
um
amazing.
I am so inspired. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was dope. Just thank you for being here. It has
Thank you
been
for having me.
absolutely no problem. It's been absolutely wonderful. It's been a gem to just reconnect and see all the lovely things that you've been doing and you have to offer. And um, I just wish you more abundance, love, life, more challenges to overcome because that's how
Yes.
you know you're living. Just keep on thriving. We could do a whole session on, you know, sustainability. Like I've had those. We could really go there if that's what if that's part of your passion. But either way, just thank you for being here, and please, please do make sure you tell your family I said hello. And I'll
Likewise,
of course
likewise.
information for this episode. Tell people if they are curious or want to follow you or whatever. Let people know where they can contact you.
My Instagram is Adrienne underscore Janelle. So it's spelled ADRIENNE underscore JANELLE. And that's my
Make,
primary. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Twitter. I have Facebook, but
yeah.
I'm not really on Facebook like that. So it's mainly Instagram.
Okay. Well, make sure you all follow Adrienne. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and listened to Black Oasis. You can continue to support us on all platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or visit our website at www.blackoasis.org. And thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay black, but you don't really have a choice, and lucky you. Peace.